Okay, YouTubers, in my first episode about debunking the slander against Jack Webb, I said that I smelled an agenda and would deal with it in the second video. Well, the one I did was too lengthy. I'm doing this one over again. Now, there has been a tendency for a long time now to encourage a subjectivistic, irrational, non-objective kind of a thing on the part of people in general, and you find it in the New Age movement. You find it in you find a lot in entertainment on TV, and it's probably unwholesome to encourage kids in too much fantasy anyway. But it's this sort of thing makes you much more manipulable, politically, socially, sexually, whatever. And any kind of entertainment that focuses on the idea of objective reality, of sorting out facts, of trying to find something that's provable, is something that tends to work against this mindset. And there seems to be some sort of increase of interest in Jack Webb and Dragnet and the things that he put together, which include a heavy dose of this. Now, there are what they call police procedural series going on now, but these true crime, whatever type things, seem to tend more to focus now on the emotional and the subjective. And though they do show procedures, they do show issues of trying to determine, trying to prove things, trying to get objective facts and stuff. They're the music back of it, the lighting and everything about this, and the focus often very heavily on the victim, what they were like, and all of the sense of loss of the relatives strikes me as contributing more to the subjective than to the objective sort of thing. And it's just a gradual undermining of keeping your feet on the ground and encouraging in the opposite direction. Now, I think that's a big part of the motive. In fact, I remember a long time ago reading this, the Satanist was saying that one should encourage the objective reality attitude in oneself, and the not being manipulable, not being invadable psychically or whatever. Well, one encourages everybody else to be weak, subjectivistic, open to the universe and all that sort of stuff, because then they're more telepathically influenceable and manipulatable. And then there's the just more overt, more strictly physical type of mental manipulation. So I think somebody slung a wad of cash at her and or help in getting her next pornographic autobiography, which she's going to call Secrets of the Goddess, published. As I mentioned before, some little problem that occasionally crops up in my life and is expensive to carry out, or to try to carry out, seems to have suddenly increased its, somebody threw a lot more money at the situation right after I posted that refutation, which was based on the physical parameters surrounding the allegation that the bed of a 4-year-old child would not support the weight of 2 adults when engaged in vigorous activity. And then another version of the story, she's coming in and out of consciousness, and he's fussing with the knots on her on a chair. And, what do you tie a woman to a chair for? You can't, he's not going to have his head so far up his ass, he can't realize that you can't access lower orifices when they're blocked by a seat of a chair that a woman's tied to. So what's the point of this? The whole thing doesn't make any sense. She had access in the meantime to the sort of information from Vietnam guys and so on about PTSD and so forth, and how memories get shoved to one side for a while and then can suddenly be triggered by something, and claims this happened when she saw his photograph on a wall at some police charity event. Why would she be there anyway? And if it's what I think she was referring to, it wasn't even running in the year of 91 that she said this happened in. So then on top of that, As I mentioned before, someone has said that he knew several men that she claimed she'd been with who said they never done so, and one of them said that being with her would be like snuggling up on a thrown-out mattress in an alley somewhere. In other words, kind of horrible, kind of disgusting. So it looks like this gal has her credibility, to put it mildly, non-existent. Plus, I noticed a pattern. She was acting like she was all worried about her virtue or something, or somebody trying to do, Rock Hudson trying to do something, when she was set up on a date for some big event with a studio, and she was reassured he was gay, but he tried something anyway. But supposedly her petticoats were in the way or something, and I don't buy that. I think it was a way of getting out, of being able to, if somebody called her on, she could say, well, I didn't say that we actually did it, just we tried to. And she had this, innocent, worried about her safety sort of thing issue. And then in regards to Jack Webb, she talks about always sneaks drugs into the drinks of unsuspecting young girls. And it's the same pattern of probably would crop up with the other guys too, that she comes across kind of like pure, innocent, helpless, and so on, if it's a total lie. And there's somebody calls her a Mamie Von Bitchface online, and I'm not sure it's the same one who said that she was mean to the help at a cafe that he and she both goes to regularly. Anyway, she's very woke, in line with Black Lives Matter and a whole bunch of nonsense. Anyway, she considered that Ukraine President Zelensky was, quote, the last real man on earth, unquote, or on the planet. And this strikes me as really rude, because she said this in her blog. Now, unless she can be sure her husband's not going to read her blog, it's like, if Zelensky's the last real man on earth, obviously there's only one real man on earth, and that's Zelensky, then it's not her husband. So do the math, I mean, it's like, what if he reads this? It might hurt his feelings. And I don't know if she'd actually have him hold a photograph of Zelensky's face over his face while they're having sex or not, but I mean, who knows what happens next. Anyway, she had the capability to construct explanations as to why she kept quiet for so long and why she suddenly couldn't anymore. And quite frankly, I don't believe her. I mean, why wouldn't there be more rumors out there about him, which I can't find anything much about. I can't find anything, really. Altogether, I'd say that she's lying. I'd say that the reason why, whatever her personal reasons are, whether it's the money she's being given or whether she's under the gun for some reason or other, it's like somebody wants to besmirch his influence, his reputation. Now, a lot of people, one article said even in other countries, were inspired by the Joe Friday character to go and become cops, or by the Emergency series he did to get involved with emergency services, being a paramedic. Now, at the time that this started, Los Angeles was the one that was experimenting with this. Most places, the sort of thing an EMT person would do now, a paramedic, they could not do, because there were medical procedures only a doctor could do, so some laws had to be changed. Now, what happened, thanks to this series being all over the country, you had people getting interested in the idea, bugging the legislators, calling up Los Angeles for details on how to get this done, how to run such an operation. And thanks to him, you had this paramedic phenomenon that we now take for granted proliferating all over the place. And by now, we'd probably have him anyway. But I'd say a good 20-year head start on it was because of him. Now, if you have this sort of stuff come out, you can have people figuring like, well, if their hero does this, then it's okay to do this, or they figure, well, then he's not my hero anymore. I'm also going to ignore any kind of good philosophy that he expressed anywhere in any of his series or in Joe Friday's mouth or whatever. Or they can figure, They can ignore the whole thing and say it's bullshit, or they can try and sort out the good from the bad if they do believe it. But the focus on the idea of him as a hypocrite and so on, a lot of times when people see someone as a as a hypocrite, they throw out the baby with the bathwater. And if they associate this kind of level-headed thinking and objectivity with him, and then he gets besmirched and they believe it, they might ditch the level-headedness. And I think that's at least part, if not the main, the whole thing about the agenda that's back of it. There's some kind of agenda involved there. Because this ramping up of a little trouble, for me, which would cost $35,000 extra from what it was before, came right after I posted that debunking. Well, I can hardly wait to see when her book Secrets to the Goddess is out and see how she shoots herself in the foot now.